So I'm going to talk to you about releasing your diaphragm. So during pregnancy, or this can happen not just from pregnancy, but our diaphragm gets pushed up during pregnancy because you need to make room for that baby as the baby grows. So diaphragm gets pushed up, the ribs get pushed out. What can happen, obviously that affects our breathing pattern. So typically we end up with more of a shallow breathing pattern. We have a hard time getting that rib cage to move and expand. So I always recommend working on deep breathing during pregnancy, but postpartum, what can happen then is you can get kind of adhesions in the diaphragm or just areas that aren't moving as well. And if our rib cage is stuck and our diaphragm isn't working effectively, it's going to affect the function of our core, which affects the function of our pelvic floor, our hips, everything's connected. So we really want to make sure we release the diaphragm and find any points that feel tight or tender or stiff, and we're going to spend time releasing those. So I have a soft ball here. This is a Pilates ball. If you have just a kid's ball that's relatively soft, that'll do too, but you're just going to lay on it. So you've got your rib cage and your sternum is your chest bone. Your diaphragm sits right in underneath that rib cage. So that's where you want to start, and you're just going to lay on it. And I want you to roll kind of all around your abdominals. You may have some tension there that you feel as well, but just go right underneath that rib cage, right up near the sternum. And then even if you don't find necessarily a tender point, it's still good to release it, and just getting some feedback from the ball, kind of breathing into it, can still just help you learn how to use your diaphragm effectively. So whether or not you feel any tenderness or tight areas, that's okay. I still want you to practice breathing into the ball to help release that diaphragm and get it working effectively. So inhale through your nose, exhale, just let everything come back in. Inhale through your nose, really focus on expanding your rib cage, let your belly fall to the floor. Inhale, exhale. So if you did find a point that felt tender, maybe it's lower in your abdomen, that's fine too. Like right here kind of feels tender to me, so I'm just going to hold my pressure over that spot and breathe. Okay, and then you can just kind of move all along. You've got all your organs in there that get moved around, and just releasing that diaphragm and helping get everything moving and working properly in our system. So again, now this side got it a little bit further up, kind of right underneath my sternum here. And again, you can relax down, just breathe. And you'll hold. And so just roll around, find areas all along your front abdominals, those rectus abdominis, underneath that rib cage, underneath the sternum, right where that diaphragm sits. Just work all around, move up and down, kind of turn your body. You can do whatever feels good. And then when you find a point that's tight or tender, or just kind of pause here and there, and just breathe. Just breathe. Let your diaphragm expand as it contracts, and let your whole belly, backside, side, rib cage all fill with air, and release that diaphragm to get it working effectively.